Welcome back, everyone, to Madison Square Garden in New York City, where last year the West Virginia faithful saw their Mountaineers climb to the top of the Big East with an historic run. They get it into Butler for the win. Go! Back into the buzzer! 8 seconds to go, 2 to tie, 3 for the win. Jackson for the lead, short. West Virginia ball, they win. Butler into the lane, into traffic, it goes again! 4 seconds to go, right down by 2. Scoops it up, no! West Virginia has won its first Big East championship. Championship week continues, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. It's ESPN's coverage of the 2011 Big East Championship, brought to you by American Eagle Outfitters. The West Virginia Mountaineers trying to defend their Big East Tournament championship. They swing into action with their first game of the 2011 event against the Marquette Golden Eagles. Marquette dispatched Providence last night while West Virginia had a bye. The winner of this game will advance to play Louisville, the number 3 seed, tomorrow night in the quarterfinal nightcap. The other 3 matchups set: Pittsburgh and UConn, Syracuse, St. John's, Notre Dame, and Cincinnati, all tomorrow here at the Garden. But we expect a good one tonight. Welcome back, Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, and Bill Raftery. And Jay, as West Virginia comes here to New York trying to defend its first Big East championship, they're playing some of their best basketball of the season. They've won 3 in a row.
And what they do every game is they defend and they rebound. They guard the ball very effectively. They don't have to help very much because they stay in front. But they load up on the offensive end. 2 guys on the weak side. The shot comes from the right side. They're always going to have 2 guys on the left side for offensive rebounding coverage. And they get a lot of offensive rebounds, Bill Raftery.
And Marquette, Bill, was impressive last night in its win over Providence. They came here perhaps needing another win to build their NCAA tournament resume. Now their sights set on trying to go deep into this Big East championship.
Jay, as perceptive as ever. Great defense by West Virginia. You're not going to get easy runouts if you're Marquette. They've got to go side to side, pry with the bounce, post up. This is a very difficult team to score against.
And we talk about these teams playing well lately. Our Star Watch features 2 players who have been outstanding of late.
Well, Jimmy Butler is very versatile for Marquette. He plays on both ends of the floor. Great defense on Marshawn Brooks against with Providence, and a near triple-double.
Kevin Jones, a guy that's starting to light it up a little, more confident with that stroke. He needs to be on his game this evening, Sean.
Start in that victory over Louisville. Dramatic rally in the final seconds to beat the Cardinals on Saturday. Marquette at 19-13 overall now with last night's win. Dwight Bikes and Darius Johnson-Odom, with Butler, Eric Williams, and Chris Otule for Buzz Williams, their head coach. Buzz says West Virginia plays as hard as any team in the country. Joe Mazzulla and Daryl Bryant, effectively 2 point guards on the floor at the same time, with John Flowers, a great defender, having a terrific senior year. Kevin Jones and Cam Thurman. Well, the Mountaineers, who come here at 20-10 overall and 11-7 in the Big East, earn the number 6 seed. We remind you now, with USF's loss, teams that won the first day of the Big East championship since we expanded 3 years ago to 16 teams, they're just 2-9 on the second day, so that works in favor of West Virginia. Joe Mazzulla. Mountaineers had a bye last night while Marquette had to work to defeat the Providence College Friars. They met once in the regular season, beginning of the conference year, New Year's Day actually, in Milwaukee. An early start. It was a 10 a.m. local start, and Marquette prevailed 79-74. Mike Stevens, Pat Driscoll, Tim Clougherty are the officials. Tim throws the ball in the air, and Otule for Marquette, dressed in the stylish blue, on the tip.
Very pretty. Shall be done to Jay Billis. West Virginia, go.
West Virginia does some switching. They switched off that high ball screen. They do a great job of staying in front, make you run through their chest.
Inside it goes to Otule, and he was fouled as a couple of Mountaineer defenders converged. And it's on John Flowers, his first, and he can be foul prone, and they can't allow that to happen. They need him on the floor.
And Jay, as a former post guy, you know how hard it is to defend. You have to help. All of a sudden, Otule locks his guy, slips to the rim. very hard to control.
O'Toole never stops posting up. He's not a guy that gets the ball a lot, but he posts so hard that he occupies a defender all the time.
He's a redshirt sophomore. A lot of injuries to both feet the last couple of years. Healthy this year and thriving, particularly down the stretch here for Marquette. Golden Eagles with a 1-0 lead. Missoula badgered all the way by Dwight Bikes. Now Thurman. Daryl Bryant, who had 25 points in their loss at Marquette.
Boy, they hound you on defense too, Marquette.
5-out motion, and you can expect West Virginia to look for some back cuts.
They go inside to Kevin Jones, and he lost it. He was last to touch it, defended by Eric Williams along the block.
There's that tough angle delivery. We've seen a lot of these, and good job getting over the top, causing the problem.
Homecoming for Kevin Jones of West Virginia. He's from Mount Vernon, New York, not far from the city.
Look at this denial. They're really extending.
They make it hard for you to reverse the ball, and they certainly don't let you catch it in an operating area. Push them out a little bit further. That makes their passes longer. One dribble drive is now 2.
Butler short with a jumper, rebounded by John Flowers. Bryant, another New York area product, wound up getting it back. And the 3 up and good for John Flowers, the senior from Waldorf, Maryland.
Thurman knows his job. He couldn't make that deep one. Great job on the defensive end as well. Look at him showing, recovering. A little late on that one.
Yeah, O'Toole wide open. Found by Darius Johnson Odom. And we're tied at 3. First field goal of the night for Marquette.
Just a miscommunication, not recovering back to O'Toole.
He stayed on the guard. Nice slip here.
Missoula got in among the trees.
Whoops.
Thurman walked twice and got away with it both times. And Missoula gets called for the travel.
O'Toole sets a little ball screen, and Thurman switches off. No communication with Missoula. He stays with him, leaves O'Toole wide open.
Not too bad the way Flowers has played all year long now, huh?
Well, he's really improved that shot.
Both ends of the floor.
Worked really hard on his shooting over the summer.
Bikes with a screen from O'Toole. Bikes will take it, and he made it. 2-point field goal for Bikes, senior from Milwaukee. Played a couple of years at Indian Hills Junior College in Ottumwa, Iowa, where he was a teammate and good buddy of Dwight Hardy, now starring at St. John's.
He shoots those deep ones at 42. You better get a hand up on him.
Bryant guarded by Bikes. 3 minutes gone by. Joe Missoula for 3. And the lead for West Virginia.
He plays with confidence in the first half in particular of games. Not a bad shooter coming out of high school. Lost it a little while with all the shoulder injuries and difficulties.
What a tough kid he's always been with that. All the shoulder problems he's gone through. Remember, he had to shoot his free throws right-handed because he couldn't lift his left shoulder. Couldn't lift his left arm over his head.
Amazing toughness. You're right. And right here, get those puppies organized. Joe from Rhodey. Drilling them.
5th-year senior from Johnston, Rhode Island. Called for the blocking foul there. Missoula tends to be at his best when the lights are brightest. Remember, he was the most outstanding player at the East Regional, the NCAA tournament last year. Had 17 points in their big upset win in the Elite 8 over Kentucky to send West Virginia to the Final Four. O'Toole with the jump hook.
It's amazing how that play works, huh? Fill high, dump low, and you love the way O'Toole shapes up.
It just posts hard. And he's getting the ball in this game. Nice step in. Like Crowder did a good job guarding that.
Out of bounds, deflected out by Jimmy Butler. 17 on the shot clock for West Virginia.
Chris O'Toole does a nice job moving his man up the lane. He's bigger, wider, and a little bit stronger than John Flowers. Just gave him a little nudge, created the space, and
Got to have more pressure on that pass so it's not as easy to deliver.
Devontae Gardner comes in, freshman from Suffolk, Virginia, out of Kings Fork High School.
Substitute a 44 waist for a 54 waist.
I like Buzz Williams' quote about Gardner. He said his body is not as bad as it appears.
Items in the mirror.
How about we get this a lot? You guys are better looking in person. Is that a compliment or not?
I know we get that.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that with you, actually.
There's Gardner with the attractive score inside for Buzz Williams.
Barney's will like that description.
They list him at 6'8", 290. All-state player in Virginia. Played on a state championship team. Gardner's mom is a player as well. Sheila played at East Carolina.
Crowder is a really good defender, isn't he? I mean, he gets beat here, but he just is solid with the denial. Nice move by Jones to walk him up.
You know, Butler came over from the weak side and was there. I think he could have stolen that ball. That's one where he probably should have gone after the ball instead of going for the position.
Nice cut.
Butler found by Jay Crowder, who's in off the bench along with Junior Cadogan. Crowder was excellent last night for Buzz Williams. Foul gets us to the media timeout.
Well, the nice thing about the big fella, we don't have to buy the suits. Be a little expensive.
Conference tournament in Las Vegas. Congratulations to the Zags.
A lot of teams on that list that can be a real problem in the first round.
Morehead State has the best rebounder in the country, Kenneth Fareed. Belmont, coached by Rick Byrd, is an
excellent golfer.
Excellent golfer among living
I heard
golfers.
Doug Gottlieb say today that the coach of Arkansas Little Rock might be the best golfer.
He's no Rick Byrd.
Is he living there?
He is living. He's alive.
He's still alive.
Well,
by virtue of winning their conference championship, they are still alive.
And how about the job David Stockton has done for Gonzaga, too? He's done a terrific running of the point for that club. Good passes, timely shots.
for those who were with us last night, Jay Billis said that the coach at Belmont is the best golfer among coaches who are still alive.
Still alive in the tournament.
Well, that's not what you said. We would hope.
I said
we would hope he wouldn't have to give Adolph Rupp to a side. It wouldn't matter.
Nice job by Kalista. Good give up here. Two New Yorkers. Wow, a negation by Crowder.
Wrights thought about jacking a three. Instead, they find Butler wide open for the triple for Jimmy Butler.
Oh, that was a good decision by Dwight Bikes. They wind up getting
what was a better shot, a step-in three with rebounding coverage as a result.
Interesting matchup. Butler on Pepper. He's very good away from the rim. How about that help there, huh? He is smart.
Dennis Kolichla with a wild pass, but it was deflected out. West Virginia has 22 to shoot.
How about the front here? And unfortunately, not a bad give. They've been giving it to the smaller guy. And down the other end, you like this guy, don't you, Jay?
Well, Jimmy Butler's got game. And he gets to the free throw line. I mean, this Marquette team attacks the paint. Now, they've been taking some perimeter shots because they've been open for them, but throughout the course of the game, they're going to try to get what they call paint touches. They want to get the ball into the orange of the paint where they're going to get fouled. They've shot more free throws than any other team in the Big East this year.
Darius Johnson Odom on Casey Mitchell. He's going to have to really understand how this kid used bumps. He's a terrific shooter, but he is a talented defender.
Success of the free throw line, a big reason why Marquette is the highest scoring team in the league, about 76 per game. Joe Mazzulla the bucket to get West Virginia back within 4.
Solid play there. Rub off on the elbow.
They do such a good job of cutting. A team that doesn't really have a low post threat that's going to power the ball to the basket. And they play that 5-out motion. They cut really hard and really well.
Kolichla playing great defense. He showed, recovered, fronted, switched out.
Casey Mitchell's also in off the bench. Their leading scorer, who after being disciplined, sat out for a couple of games in mid-season, mid-conference season, has been a bench player ever since. He had the heroics. The big three at the end of the ball game Saturday against Louisville. Cadogan probed into the lane. Now Darius Johnson Odom. Jay Crowder, very tough shot with Kevin Jones right there on him.
Kalichla was an MVP on defense that whole trip. I've never seen him work as diligently.
At times it looks like Kalichla on defense, Bill, is lost, as if he doesn't quite understand what he's supposed to do, and he is still a newcomer to American basketball, sophomore from Turkey.
Not that trip, Sean.
Jones. For so long this season, he struggled to find confidence in the shooting stroke. He has found it lately off the 25-point effort against Louisville Saturday. He has 5 quick ones tonight.
And one of the best offensive rebounders you'll see anywhere.
Kalichla over a little late with a discard.
Jones has had some difficulties making perimeter shots this season. Yeah, but that's a little bit better looking of his stroke. Didn't bring the ball as far behind his head as he normally does. He tends to sling it, but he shot that ball pretty effectively. Good arc on it. Good rotation.
It's amazing what confidence does, though, right?
And once you see the ball go through the net, it makes you feel better, doesn't it?
4 doubles the last 5 games for Jones. And West Virginia's won 4 out of the 5, not coincidentally. Jones the rebound. Kevin shooting just 26% for the year from 3, but he made the 3 a moment ago that got the Mountaineers within 1. Dalton Pepper has come into the ball game for Bob Huggins, number 32.
Jones a great rebounder, too. Over 7 a game. So many things you have to do when you play for Huggins, Jay.
And that wide pin down. Casey Mitchell's got a really good mid-range game, not just a deep shooter.
He shoots a deep one, makes it, and gets fouled by Darius Johnson-Odom, who didn't like the call and was pleading his case to Pat Driscoll to no avail.
He felt there was space.
West Virginia now 4 for 4 from 3-point range, and they've taken a 2-point lead with the free throw to come. By Sony. There's a look at our 3D talent. To the left of your screen, Bob Valvano and Mark Jones. They are working from the North Press Box high atop Madison Square Garden, which is undergoing a lot of renovations. They moved the press room. It's a long walk for us. Not that anybody cares about the difficulties that we have to endure to do our job.
You've got 4 interns, and that's just for your coffee and jacket. But it will be beautiful when it's done. I got an idea of a glass upstairs right across the top where people can look down.
Don't you think that's really what makes this the premier conference tournament in all of college basketball? The fact that it's in the same building in the world's most famous arena in this great city year after year. It sets the Big East Championship apart.
But Jay was saying, too, it's something to think about when you think about the ACC, right? Where maybe one spot all of a sudden that develops that kind of feel.
Where would you do that?
I don't know. That's a good question. Some people have said Charlotte. Some have said Washington, D.C., Atlanta. I don't know the right answer, but I do agree that having it in the same place, it's a little on big screen to get Gardner at the low post, but having it in one place gives it a great feel. I think this has become the best conference tournament in all of college basketball.
9-0 run for West Virginia after Mitchell finished the 4-point play. Dwight Bikes a deep 2. And Missoula just went under and paid for it. Bikes 42 deep, 47. He's tough. A little 2-3 zone.
Let's give West Virginia a little bit of a different look. Change the rhythm up because they have been knocking shots down to start this game.
Their offense can sometimes scuffle, but they've been on target tonight, shooting 66%. And they rotate high and low, so they've just spread the defense to cover Jones. Good kick, good shooter. Dalton Pepper had to shoot it high because Butler came running out at him. Good closeout by Butler. Now Marquette trying to recapture the lead, and Vanderblue's tip wouldn't go after the missed layup by Dwight Bikes, who did everything but score. And you notice he kept his elbows in. He's so afraid of that rule, Jay. Actually, you end up with a jump ball when you put it right on your body like that.
Well, that's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
Is as a big guy, whoever gets the rebound, you've got to protect it from people reaching in. And if you're going to swing it all, you've got the chance to pick up an intentional foul, which is 2 shots in the ball if there's contact above the shoulders with the elbow.
Screen is on, high, low. And 8 to shoot. Pepper from the same spot. Short with it again. He has been a pretty good shooter, especially down the stretch, 36% from 3. Whoa, where's the D? Wow. Kevin Jones seldom makes that kind of mistake. Kalichla couldn't get back. I mean, Huggins not real happy.
Well, Jones wasn't alone. There wasn't a single eyeball of a West Virginia defender on the ball. Not one.
You might say that Bob Huggins is a little salty toward Pepper.
Very good. He's running back, but look at the left side. You're right, Jay. Everybody going to their guys, not seeing the basketball. You got to have great vision.
Yeah, Jones was just trying to stop the pass ahead. You know, somebody else has to step up there.
Yeah, look at the communication. Oh my goodness, he pushes you. Istanbul.
So apparently Pepper wasn't in the right place on offense or defense. Kalichla tangled up with Gardner. Bob Huggins. All he's done is win 10 conference tournament championships over his career. They won it all here last year.
Hall of Famer.
Yes, he should be and will be someday. In his 4th season now at his alma mater.
And I harken back to Jim Boeheim's comments when we were up there a little earlier in the year. What a fantastic job he has done this year and throughout his career.
Tournament titles in the Ohio Valley, the Great Midwest, Conference USA, the Big East. There's tremendous success. 13 regular season conference championships and the 10 conference tournament crowns.
They do a nice job popping and overloading, screening, and hitting the gap.
Mitchell long, and there's Kalichla off to a very active start. And a 3 out of the corner. He's a new man shooting the ball. Kevin Jones, Butler running hard. Offensive foul.
Wow. I don't know if Jones got there. Great effort by him.
Thought he walked first.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me too. Travel and then the contact.
Wow, that's a bang banger though, huh? And Kalichla's effort, Jay, incredible, huh?
Well, they load up 2 on the weak side, and against the zone, Kalichla really moved his feet
to get over there and get that rebound. That would count as a rebound out of your area. A lot of guys grab the rebounds that come right to them, but the really good rebounders get them out of their area.
Nice play, Crowder.
Crowder anticipated that. He had a huge game in their win over West Virginia on January 1st. Crowder had 29 points, a career high against the Mountaineers on 12 out of 14 from the floor. He also kicked in 8 rebounds.
Wasn't that 10 a.m. game?
It was.
The game started really early.
On New Year's Day. Bill would not have made the tip for that.
Just coming in.
Second half, I join you too. But how about the hustle? Butler with the cut, and then a great read by Bryant to get down there and get a piece of it to save the goal.
And Buzz Williams just warned to stay in the coach's box. They definitely didn't enforce that on Steve Lavin in the final 5 seconds today.
A lot of things not enforced in the final couple of minutes.
I really do believe, though, his stroll toward midcourt is what threw Burrell off and making him think that the game was over, because Lavin was striding across midcourt almost to shake hands with Mike Rice with about 4 seconds on the clock. Junior Cadogan.
Tough shot. Tough.
For this team, when Marquette puts the ball on the floor and drives it, I think they're much better.
Because a lot of people will sneak a zone on them just for that reason. In fact, West Virginia in that game had a little zone against them, Jay.
Yeah, they certainly don't play as much 1-3-1 as they did last year. They're not as long, not as active. They get beat up in a little bit.
Jones finally misses, bikes the rebound. Cadogan, sophomore from Toronto, nice pass, and a chance for 3 for Jimmy Butler.
Give credit to Cadogan. They passed ahead, and Cadogan got it right into the lane. Yet another paint touch for Marquette. When they get it into the lane, that's when they are at their best. Paint touch, bucket, and strength by Jimmy Butler after the contact.
First foul on Jones. This is the final game of the day. Day 2, second round action of the Big East Championship. 2 of the 3 that have already been completed were one-sided games. Connecticut an easy win over Georgetown, and Cincinnati handled USF relative ease. But what a barn burner St. John's and Rutgers played. Rutgers rallied from 10 down late to get within a couple in the final 5 seconds. We talked about Steve Lavin earlier. There he is. Controversial finish to this game. There are a number of controversial calls and non-calls leading up to this. And as Rutgers inbounds the ball on a deep pass, it gets deflected away. There might have been a foul there. Brownlee runs out of bounds and runs into his coach, Steve Lavin. I think he thought the game was over because he saw Lavin going to shake hands with still plenty of time on the clock. He traveled, he went out of bounds, but the whistle never blew. And the Big East, if you just joined us, has acknowledged that 2 officiating errors were made there on the non-calls on the travel and the out of bounds. It should have given the ball back to Rutgers, but it's not reviewable. So the end of the game stood, and St. John's had a very controversial win.
What if there was time? They'd have to call a T on the ball.
Well, actually,
the supervisor of officials, John Adams, said that they wouldn't call a technical in that situation because they wouldn't punish a kid for exuberance thinking that the clock had expired.
No, I'm just saying if they did have 1.7 and he threw it thinking it was over.
No, but yeah, but that's what I think. That's what he was saying, that they wouldn't have done that. But you know, if that were true, I mean, I'm not saying it's not true, but you would think that the cheerleader from Louisville would get a little bit of a break too. He thought the clock had expired.
That's a great point. I mean, he had exuberance thinking the game was over. And Louisville got a technical shot clock violation as Missoula couldn't get the shot up.
Tell you, fellas, this Marquette team pushes, runs to the rim. They are one way of negating West Virginia's sensational half-court D. Push it up, get them in odd situations, odd man situations, scurrying to cover.
Plus, nobody's cornered the market on playing hard, but there aren't many programs that play any harder than these two.
Oh, O'Toole fired it off the side of the backboard. Here come the Mountaineers down by 2. 7 minutes to go in the first half. They are the defending Big East tournament champions. First time they've won it was last year. Deshaun Butler, the heroics.
O'Toole's got to compliment that great post-up with ringing the bell.
West Virginia's hit a lot of jump shots, and it's been a lot of paint touches for Marquette.
How about this guy?
Nifty fadeaway along the baseline for Dennis Kalichla. That's 6'9", 270 pounds out of Istanbul, Turkey.
He's starting to feel comfortable.
O'Toole managed to score awkwardly. Might have given Kalichla a shot in the face.
Every basket thus far for West Virginia has been assisted.
We have an exciting tweet about that at some point soon.
I'd sign up to hear that.
Johnson out on the steal and all the way for the bucket to give them a 4-point lead.
Well, that was a bad pass against the 2-3 zone. Passing and catching, still a big part of the game, isn't it?
Sure is. Those who do it well end up in victory.
Back at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Final game of day 2 at the Big East Championship presented by American Eagle Outfitters. Marquette has taken a 4-point lead. 5th turnover for West Virginia led to 2 points.
Jay is notorious for blaming the guards for everything. Jones should have been down a little deeper, I think, Jay, don't you?
Well, it doesn't matter where he is. The guard shouldn't have thrown that pass.
No, see, you always go after them. Ultimately, you're right.
Casey Mitchell had it blocked out of bounds by O'Toole, who's been the best shot blocker that they've had in recent years. At Marquette, that was his 50th block of the season. Mitchell lost it out of bounds. Last touch by Marquette. He was hoping for a foul called, and then the Marquette folks thought Mitchell was the last to touch it, so nobody was happy.
Look big on the ball. This is going to be a tough inbounds.
Missoula.
Well, perfect trap spot.
Yeah, they didn't come to trap Mitchell. 18 to shoot for the Mountaineers.
One thing you have to do against Marquette is run through your cuts. A little bump, you just can't stop your cut.
They're struggling now in their half-court offense. Deep 3 by Mitchell. At the end of the shot clock wouldn't go. Johnson Odom. Wow.
Talk about blow by. Different gears.
Those shots from the corner oftentimes can lead to runouts. And West Virginia has become a jump shooting team. They had some success shooting jumpers early, and they're taking nothing but jumpers now.
I think the zones cause that, don't you?
Yeah, but they can still get the ball inside.
10 for Jones. Whistle underneath the basket.
I think Cam with a little small change, but how about overdrive? Can't drive like this in Manhattan unless it's late at night. And Sean, you should know a lot about that. But bang, put it down. Got a lot of steps out of that dribble. Wow.
Everybody has something now. The salute, that little three-point signal they're all doing after a made three. Darius Johnson Odom, second team all Big East.
Let the kids have a little fun.
Oh yeah, they can have fun.
This isn't the NFL, the no fun league.
Well, the salute, you usually get a flag, don't you?
Well, will he signal no because he didn't make it? I think they should have to do something after they missed too. You want to be demonstrative after your successes.
Well, no one wants
dive on the sword of failure. First foul on Otule. Buzz Williams, 38-year-old native of Texas, came up the hard way. Started out as a student assistant at Oklahoma City University. Spent some time at junior colleges and some small colleges. Northwestern State, Texas A&M, Kingsville, Texas Arlington. Got linked up with Billy Gillespie at A&M. Got a reputation for being an excellent recruiter. And he is
on the sideline.
And another turnover for West Virginia. They are starting to pile up. What a nice job he has done. He inherited a program that wasn't broken. In fact, it was thriving under Tom Crean. He's led them to 2 NCAA tournaments in his first 2 seasons. Buzz, they're certainly going to go to the third in as many years you would think. It would be the 6th straight NCAA appearance in all for Marquette.
He's thorough. He's efficient. The kids buy in. Can't ask much more of a coach. Cam's got to be careful.
Yeah, speaking of thorough man came attacking, and lucky they get called for a foul. It did lead to a takeaway by West Virginia, down by 4 with 4 minutes to go in the half.
And once the dribble was used, Thurman really went out and put great pressure. It was really well done.
Thurman, not really a shot. And he almost made it, pulled off by Jay Crowder Jr.
That looked like a shot. That wasn't a shot.
You know, he's gotten better, Sean. He'll take it every once in a while. He'll bite you. Look at that offensive foul. Good call. He just decked Cam Thurman and just not even a swim. I think if he hits you, Jay, you'll move a few feet, huh? Gardner. DeMonte, lay in the wood.
Whoa.
Take a waltz. That's using your keys.
Up and Hubert and Digger join.
All right, we'll look forward to a race. We'll look forward to the action tomorrow as well. The quarterfinals, now the top 4 seeds after the double bye will swing into action tomorrow starting at noon with Pittsburgh and Connecticut. The Panthers, the regular season Big East champs. Syracuse and St. John's. St. John's lost 1 game all year in this building, and Syracuse put it on them pretty good here at MSG. And then we'll be along for the nightcap after Dave, Doris, and Fran and Beth Mowens have the daytime action. And I'd like to salute our crew. Sometimes it sounds self-indulgent when you're throwing on praise for your colleagues, but Dave and Fran and Doris, the production folks, were all over those situations at the end of the game today. It was a great demonstration of broadcasting.
Great coverage.
That's a 3 for Truck Bryant.
They're pretty good after a timeout, aren't they? Bob Huggins gets them refocused. Yet another paint touch for Marquette. They've been very efficient when they've gotten the ball into the lane.
West Virginia, when they're back and set, negate that early push.
Butler zips it underneath, and Crowder missed a short one. He's down behind the play, so it's 5 on 4. Bryant for another 3. Unlucky there. Pepper flying through the air.
Wow, great effort. Scintillating. And he went a long way.
You had better be strong going up underneath, because there's been contact in there, and you've got to go through that contact to finish a play.
So the Mountaineers by 1. Bites short. Butler the rebound.
And Butler just held off Thurman.
And Gardner uses that body inside.
Xander Blue had it blocked by Kevin Jones. 2:10 to go in the half. West Virginia with a chance to add to a 1-point edge.
And nobody on Jones. They should get it to him. Took too late. He can beat Gardner.
He settles for a 3 and makes it. Boy, he hadn't been able to do that much this year. Celebrating after a 3. 10-0 run for West Virginia.
That will be a 30-second timeout.
Started with an offensive rebound by Dalton Pepper. The shot by Truck Bryant. Nobody puts a body on Dalton Pepper. 2 guys blocking out, and Pepper gets all the way to the rim.
And you know what's amazing, Jay? We've seen it. You run the other way well, efficiently, and quick. You sometimes don't run back on a defensive end. A good read, and hallelujah. Jones starting to stroke it with confidence.
And to think that this team has been talked about all season long as not being able to make shots. It reminds you a little bit last year in the Elite Eight, where in the first half against Kentucky, they make nothing but threes. Not a single 2 for West Virginia in that first half against Kentucky, and they've knocked down a bunch of threes in this half.
7 out of 11 from 3-point range. For the year, they're just 33% from 3.
So 1-3-1 here.
One thing they do very well, best in the league, is defend the 3. Their opponents shooting just 29% from beyond the arc, West Virginians.
And this
More
slowed,
like a 2-3 zone.
I'm sorry, this slowed Marquette down in their earlier game.
O'Toole had it roll off. Mazzulla, back in the day with John Beeline when they played a lot of 1-3-1, he was the man underneath the basket. Could more than hold his own. Pepper, strong drive.
And Mazzulla is one of the guys that talked Bob into playing this 1-3-1 on occasion.
Well, Bob basically said he let Mazzulla coach it. Bob said, I didn't really know much about the 1-3-1, but they've been doing it with success under Beeline. They wanted to continue doing it, so he said, Mazzulla wants to be a coach. I said, Joe, you just tell him what to do.
Well, they can't do it with this team. They don't have the kind of length that they had last year.
Stop and go by Johnson Odom. Another bad break for Marquette as it popped up. It will stay with Marquette with a full shot clock.
Terrific job by Thurman to hold off O'Toole to keep him from getting down to get to the baseline.
You know what's amazing with good coaches? How the kids improve. Pepper, strictly a 3-point shooter his first year. Now, occasionally, you saw him run for the rebound, as you described it that time, putting it on the deck, getting to the rim.
Good athlete.
He was a prolific scorer in high school in Pennsylvania. Over 2,200 points for Dalton Pepper. At Pennsbury, where he's the all-time leading scorer in Pennsbury history.
Yeah, he went into his area, Jay. I mean, he's going to get away with it, Butler. A little pump, and he leaned towards the defender.
Yeah, but I think once you leave the floor, he's entitled to do that.
I don't think you can move into
Yeah,
a
but
guy.
he's not going straight up and down.
Watch this.
Yeah, he can go right into him. That was not, he did not have legal guarding position when he's flying through the air there. If he went straight up and had legal guarding position, that would be fine. But he's entitled to jump into him there.
If you were on the sideline, would you argue about it?
No.
Well, I would.
And then we
I'd lose.
we have another horrific officiating controversy. This one doesn't quite seem to rival what we had earlier today. I would say there was a very commonly asked question, why did Tim Higgins not blow his whistle when he was just a few feet away right on that sideline where the ball went out of bounds?
And he did the same thing in Maui in the Michigan State-Connecticut game.
Art Harlan was telling us that, the distance that they all covered in that situation made it more complex.
That's just an excuse. That's an excuse. They screwed up, and they should just admit it.
They have. Ooh. Well, you better come armed the way guys go after you in this particular game.
2 fouls on O'Toole now, just 5 on the team, so no shooting with 26 seconds to go in the half.
Chuck Bryant's shoes are making me ill.
I wouldn't want to see those late at night. Or early in the morning.
He's not going to get hit by a cab in those things, I'll tell you that.
Junior Cadogan picks him up in the backcourt. Shot clock is off.
Watch offensive rebounds here. Need to box out.
Clinton gets right to the rim. Look at him hold off, too. What a job.
Nifty drive and score by Bryant. Time for a response for Marquette. Cadogan lets it go. No. And West Virginia goes to the locker room with its largest lead of the game, 7 points.
And what a nice job on that last play as well. Kalichla gets right in the lane and now wards off to help out the big fella using a wide body. What a silent little play late.
Here's Beth Mowens.
Thank you very much, Sean. Well, Coach Kevin Jones able to find his shooting touch in the first half. Why was he able to regain his shooting form here in the first half?
He's put a lot of time in. He shot it really well in the Louisville game. He's put time in. He's a great kid, really wants to be a good player.
What concerns you about Marquette so far in the first half?
We got to get back in transition. We didn't do a very good job in transition defense.
Thank you.
Kevin Jones, 5 out of 6, including 3 for 3 from 3 for 13 points. At the break, the Mountaineers by 7. Here's Reese Davis with the Cisco halftime report.
I am New York, young man. This week, on this court, the stakes like my skyscrapers are higher. The glare like my light brighter. If you're afraid, you'll fail. But stand tall like me and you will prevail. Here in the Big East Championship.
From Madison Square Garden, part of Championship Week, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. ESPN's coverage of the 2011 Big East Championship is brought to you by American Eagle Outfitters. Marquette and West Virginia, 7-point edge for the defending Big East Tournament champ, the Mountaineers. As we head toward the second half, welcome back Sean McDonough, Jay Billis, and Bill Raftery. And Kevin Jones, for a lot of the year, Bill, we saw West Virginia play a lot, really struggling to find his shot. Right now, you can tell the confidence is at a season high.
5 for 6 and 3 for 3 from deep. I mean, he's raised his game, whether it's around the rim. We know he's going to run, he's going to guard, but this early offense gets him a real clean look. And alone, King Jones with the deep one.
And for Marquette, it's all about getting the ball into the paint. When they attack off the dribble and get it into the paint, that draws the defense. They're able to kick it out. They usually draw fouls if they can get to the rim, but they kick it out to Jimmy Butler. And when they get the ball into the paint, look how efficient this team is. 25 paint touches, 10 of 19 from the field. Now that includes transition. So if they're getting down in transition, obviously they're getting that to the paint for a layup. But even in half-court situations, it's a better team, better offense when they can get the ball into the paint.
West Virginia ball to begin the second half. Cam Thurman with it to Joe Mazzulla out there with Bryant, Jones, and Flowers. John Flowers had a quiet first half, played only 5 minutes because 2 fouls. Mazzulla stripped on the drive. Eric Williams took it away. Now Dwight Bikes to Jimmy Butler along with Otule and Johnson Odom from Marquette.
Cam Thurman doing a nice job fronting, going over the top, extricating himself.
West Virginia's done a really good job on Darius Johnson-Odom. He hasn't gotten much in the half court. He's gotten it all in transition.
Nice.
Steal by Flowers, then a foul called on Johnson Odom. That's his second here. The first half stats brought to you by American Eagle Outfitters. West Virginia shot 58%, including 7 of 11 from beyond the arc.
Really a remarkable shooting performance by West Virginia. A group of players that have
They've been criticized for not being able to hit open shots, and they knocked down everything they looked at in that first half.
Whoa, Butler. I mean, Bryant wasn't looking for the pass from Mazzulla.
The 2 early ones on Joe. You know, it's nice to be around. He didn't even look over at the bench because it wouldn't have made it worthwhile. Like he would have given a little squeamish look.
Joined us late. Marquette led through a lot of the first half, led by 6, in fact, with 5:10 to go in the half. West Virginia closed the first half with a 14-1 run. This is the largest lead of the night for the Mountaineers. Fade away by Dwight Bikes, and the rebound snatched by Kevin Jones.
Wow, I think Butler can do some damage. Quick entry here.
Flowers, the bank.
Nice little pull-up, avoiding a potential charge and perhaps his 3rd foul.
And they switched Jones on Butler. They had Bryant on him earlier. A little bit of a mismatch. Didn't look for it.
We talk about those field goal droughts that are so common in the Big East. With these terrific defensive teams, Marquette's gone more than 7 minutes without a bucket dating back to the first half.
Look at Otule with Bryant. You got to see him. You got to holler.
Got caught on a switch.
Let him know.
Bikes probing down the lane. Nicely done. Cam Thurman maintained pretty good guarding position most of the way, and Bikes was still able to score. 8 for Dwight.
Hold.
Bryant, that's a 3.
Nice activity. They're trying to use the guards to screen, a little more motion.
And when they curl at the free throw line, that's really hard to guard. You got to guard the curl man, the cutter, and then the guy who sets the screen just pops out.
Flowers over to block it.
Joe Mazzulla can essentially curl off the post at the free throw line. Bryant sets the little screen and then pops right out and pops out ready to shoot.
Jay, they hadn't used the guards to screen in the first half much at all.
Well, they've done a little back screen to get Kevin Jones into the post. They haven't gotten it much after the first couple of possessions, but they've still been running it. I think they're best when they run that 5-out motion.
Look at that D.
Crowder fouled by Thurman after he's set up by Butler. Boy, they're so athletic, Marquette. Big bodies and very athletic.
And you know, counter that with a pretty good sense of dribble drive and covering for people. That number 3.
Yeah, they gave the foul to Flowers, and that's his 3rd. That's a tough break for West Virginia. We mentioned, though, that's been a problem all year long for Flowers. He's fouled out 5 times.
And he's waving to the bench. He doesn't want to come out. Look at the hands are up there. And Bobby's listening to him, huh?
Huggins is going to leave him in, at least for the moment.
Well, I was going to look at it.
So much for that.
He's kind of looking at me, yeah, like that's your decision.
Since when are you the coach?
So Dalton Pepper will come in.
West Virginia, number 32, Dalton Pepper is in the game. He replaces John Farr.
A cute little futile attempt to stay in the game.
He's going to be planted on the bench.
Springtime. He'll pop up again.
Would you like to add to the really bad run of Flowers puns?
And pretty good defense here.
The Vander Blue was on the sideline
after he was fouled.
Out of bounds, it will be West Virginia ball.
They're wearing a nice Vander Blue tonight, the Marquette Golden Eagle uniforms. It's a shade of blue, doesn't it?
I know it's not politically correct, but they're always the Warriors to me.
That's much like the Johnnies or the Redmen. A lot of people felt that way for years. I think they're sort of used to it by now.
Well, you've been called a lot of things other than your real name, Jay, by passers-by. Bryant missed.
Great transition D thus far.
Cadogan. Boy, it popped out. Pepper didn't quite get back in bounds. Peels on the end line. Ball to Marquette, but they're starting to lose touch with the Mountaineers, down by 9.
Talking about transition D, Beth Moen's talking to Bob Huggins. He didn't like it at all. That time a nice play by Pepper, just negating that attempt.
And a nice play by Mazzulla as well to stay in front.
Crowder, tough shot. Bryant the push.
A good catch without walking.
By Thurman, who found Pepper.
Once again, great balance.
Vander Blue, the freshman, to Cadogan. Sophomore guard.
Thurman has great footwork, doesn't he?
He's guarding Gardner. Went right by him.
So much for that compliment.
Most of the time. Maybe he was afraid he was going to get the old Jean Rattel New York Ranger hip check from Gardner.
That is a fear. He had fronted nicely, but didn't take away that baseline. Now all of his body weight forward. An old Rick Mahorn trick. A little frustration, but Gardner nimble.
Yeah, that's one of the things we mentioned earlier. Buzz Williams said what we think was a compliment. His body is better than it looks. But he did point out that Gardner has excellent feet, and you saw it there.
Well, Jay and I get our hair is better than it looks. Have you ever had that?
Must be the last game of the night when we're reverting to the cheap follicle jokes. Those of us who are follically challenged.
Ooh, that's what I would have jacked. That's his game.
Mazzulla did jack it, and he made it.
The kid is tough. Plays with such confidence now.
Well, they've reversed the ball several times and gotten a better shot than they passed up. I always think stepping into a three-pointer is just a much better shot.
We've seen them a lot this year, West Virginia. This is the most impressive performance I can remember on offense, and they're doing against a Marquette team that tries hard, it seems, on defense, but they're not very good. We mentioned it last night, 14th in the conference Marquette is in scoring defense.
Well, I have an age bias case against Joe Mazzulla attacking me for my seniority, but he's playing great basketball and filling it up from deep.
All right, Reese, thank you. And what about Villanova, you might ask? Their journey to the brackets brought to you by Duff Men Care. Villanova for much of the year in the top 10 in the country, but with the recent swoon, losers of 5 straight, 7 of 9, and 10 out of 15. They are now, some believe, on the bubble. What say you, Bubble Boy?
I think they're in. With the wins that they've had, and you really have to look at the teams they're competing with. Traditionally, over the years, you can look at some of these teams and say, well, they don't feel like NCAA tournament teams, or they might not have made it 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Well, this year, the bubble is really weak. There are a lot of what I would
just saw that.
Average teams, very average teams that are going to get in.
Because that would be the question. If they're not in, who do you put in ahead of them? That, for example, Joe Lunardi has out right now. I mean, Villanova seems to be more deserving than Alabama, Southern Cal, Missouri State, or Washington State. These are the first 4 that he has out.
No question. I mean, I think this is the weakest group of at-large teams at the end of the line we've ever had.
Do you think that'll mean that'll end any conversation about going to 96, which was largely discussed last year?
It should have ended any conversation about 68, but it's obviously about money. It's not about anything else.
Tough shot there. You know, it's interesting, too, Villanova, if they play at the level these two teams are, they'll be happy to be in. They got to get their game in order. That's part of the problem.
Well, you wonder if they can do it. You know, they've been on the slide for so long, and Jay Wright looks like he's tried a little bit of everything with his team. They've played bigger, they've played smaller, they've tried pep talks, he's tried some tough love.
Well, the good news is they're going to be playing a team that's not from their conference, most likely. With 11, you might draw somebody from your conference, but I doubt it.
A nice job on that trap there. You got to be ready against Marquette.
They're down by 10. They're within 7. Vanderbilt rifled it underneath. Crowder able to knock it down. They have 16 to shoot. Cadogan. Will they count the bucket? Yes, says Mike Stevens.
This group on the floor can use the dribble. Vanderbilt glue a guy that can attack.
Wow, that's the kind of play Marquette needs to get going again. The ball screen, and Cadogan just attacking that opposite elbow. And I'll tell you, going into Kalichla.
Painful.
Somewhat incidental, but incidental with Kalichla can hurt.
Second foul on Kalichla. Cadogan makes the three-point play. Marquette within 4. They trailed 41-31 not long ago.
Making those free throws lets them put a wrinkle, that press.
Pepper to Bryant with Mazzulla, Kalichla, and Jones. John Flowers still on the bench with 3 fouls for West Virginia. He's played only 8 minutes tonight because of foul difficulty.
It's almost time for a Kalichla hook. Use the big guy a little bit.
Bryant, deep 2, spins off. Rebound Gardner. Well, he's had a lot of run in these last 2 games. He averages only 8 minutes per game. He helps set up Cadogan, who just made it a 2-point game.
Talk about lifting a team when you come on the floor. Very aggressive.
How about Jimmy Butler guarding Joe Mazzulla when he's got the ball out front, moving his feet, staying in front? That kid can guard just about anybody.
Kalichla fouled on a hand check. 7-0 run from Marquette, and all the points been scored by Junior Cadogan during the run.
Cadogan gets the ball off the outlet, and watch Jay Crowder run the floor, and then he stops. And Cadogan just blows by everybody.
Last trip now on that inbounds pass, the trap in the corner. They want to get it out deep.
Flowers put back into the ball game by Bob Huggins now. Wants to stop the momentum. The game has really turned in Marquette's favor. He gets one of his best defenders, Flowers, back on the court. Probably his best defender.
Here's the motion offense.
And a foul. It went to Flowers. He got hit on the arm. Fouls on Joseph Fultz. His first foul in a game of runs. And most recently 7 straight for Marquette, but a chance to stop the run for Flowers at the free throw line. A much improved free throw shooter this year. 76% this season.
How about over the years? He really stepped it up.
He worked on it. He used to have that right elbow flying out sideways. Now he keeps it more underneath the ball, shooting it through the ball, and it's just a young man who's put his time in.
Bob Huggins talked about putting your time in at halftime with regard to Kevin Jones and what he's done with his shot just this year, but Flowers did it over the summertime.
Well, he was 49% from the line last year, up in the high 70s as a senior. Good for him.
Tough shot.
Yes, Bill.
Great defense. Then you compliment it with a jack.
By Butler. With a Butler and a Gardner on the floor right now. Bikes. Tough shot.
2 in a row.
Yeah, right after they scratch back into the game. Fultz for 3. Joe Fultz. He doesn't play very much, only 10 minutes per game. He was a high prospect who's been bothered by serious knee trouble. And he's a fan favorite and energy guy, and he just gave that crowd a jolt of energy with a big 3-point bucket.
37% from out there. He can do it once in a while.
He did not play at all last night against Providence. Missoula miss. And now Marquette with a chance for the lead with 12 minutes to go. The last lead was 28-27 with 3:15 left in the first half. Again, Fultz, a little long. He was actually a junior college teammate of Jimmy Butler, and Fultz was considered the better prospect. They were good pals.
Well, he fell asleep here.
And Jones was fouled.
Gotta know your guy.
We have a good one in the nightcap. Nightcaps are usually good, especially in New York City. 1-point game. 11.5 to go. Back at Madison Square Garden, coverage of the Big East Championship is also available on ESPN 3D, brought to you by Sony. I can imagine if you're watching in 3D how close Bob Huggins appeared to be to Casey Mitchell during this conversation. Trying to fire him up, probably to go out and defend. A little wrong with Mitchell at the offensive end, but not always a spirited defender.
I did hear his hearing wasn't quite as good. Bob had to get a little closer.
It was probably damaged right there.
Hello, could you raise that a decibel, Coach? I didn't quite hear you.
And that's before you go into the game.
When do you make a mistake?
Just want to let you know, this is what I'm going to say to you if you don't do what I expect you to do. There's a preview of coming attractions.
He is demanding.
He's one of the great coaches in the game. And I think he's a Naismith Hall of Famer. But they're putting officials in first.
Oh, now, come on.
No, Hank Dickel's a finalist for the Naismith Hall of Fame. And great congratulations to Hank for reaching that, and I certainly hope he gets in.
Well, Hank's family's very happy that you don't have a vote. Or you may.
I don't, but it's fun to joke about, though, isn't it?
Unless you're Hank.
No, it's fun then, too.
So automatic switching now.
Butler dumps it off. Gardner. Butler to Gardner.
Jay has consistently pointed out they get in that 3-second lane and create. They just punish you. And the big fella opens up beautifully. Great attention with the hands. Ready to perform.
Gardner 71% from the line for the year. A guy who averages 4 points per game.
How disappointed were you that Flowers wasn't under the basket, so you could say Gardner working on Flowers? Or
Yeah, the Butler also working in the Garden. So they've tied it up from 10 down, Marquette. Last tie was at 22 apiece. Mitchell. With the words of his coach still ringing in his ears.
He listened. Pay attention. You get open, drill it.
Mitchell's been disciplined a couple of times this year. Sat out some games, and it was a tough move for Huggins to make. A lot of coaches wouldn't do that. A team that struggles to score often. Mitchell was their most reliable scorer.
My guess, Bob Huggins was telling him at that timeout when he inserted him in the game.
What a pass.
Defense.
Excuse me, Jay. What a great look. Odom, quiet, nice find. Cadogan, excuse me.
How about Buzz Williams? A lot of playing time for Cadogan and Gardner tonight, and they're both rewarding it. Mitchell again. Sorry, Jay, what were you going to say? Did you want to finish what you were saying?
No.
Disparage any other Hall of Fame nominees? Or
Wow, tough one here.
Crowder.
Wow.
That's a three. Well, Marquette back on top. They led through much of the first half by as much as 6. And we are midway through the second half in the last second-round game of the night here at the Garden. Mitchell way off after the fancy spin, way too hard off the glass.
Just got to say, great defense and get good shots.
yeah, that was a really bad.
Yeah. Look at the mismatch here, and they go right to it. They had this earlier, but oh goodness, the pass to the post. What a lost art. Bad angle, I know.
It's a horrible angle.
Yeah.
I mean, he's leading him out of bounds and ultimately went out of bounds.
How about this in the early? Cam's not expecting this. Toeing the line and drilling it.
Terrific pass by Junior Cadogan. They got to help uphill, and anytime they get the ball in the paint, they are so much better.
I think Bob Huggins told Mitchell to be assertive, though. And even that last cat, tough one here again.
Way off by Jones.
What a steal.
Mitchell inside. Good effort by Casey Mitchell. Vander Blue called for the foul. We talked about what Buzz Williams is doing. Some guys who ordinarily don't play this many minutes are tonight. And it's paying off. The last 22 points from Marquette are all from bench players.
Cadogan in particular has been really great, right?
Mitchell, the free throw. One of the best in the Big East, 86%.
I should have whispered to my players like Bob does. You get some results.
I don't think you could yell as loud as he whispers.
Pepper back in. Mitchell goes out in the tie game. And the close talking continues.
That's like we're in a tuxedo and he finds something wrong with it on you. 1-3-1 again. Look at the hands, making yourself bigger.
Pepper got a piece of it. They couldn't pick it off. Down to 10 to shoot for Marquette, having trouble against this 1-3-1.
Watch the rebound, though, from that angle.
Whoa, and finally they turned it over. Tough the whole possession, Marquette. Then Johnson Odom lost the handle.
This gave him a totally different look, and Marquette didn't handle it very well.
Tough quarters there.
They fouled Pepper on the arm. He was looking for help, but Vander Blue hacked him.
It's interesting when you follow a ball, hit and follow. Well, you've got to really get rid of your guy to go behind, and you're going to bring too many people into the area.
2 fouls on blue. Both teams are approaching the bonus now. That is the 6th-team foul on Marquette. West Virginia's been called for 5. Butler back in. O'Toole returns for Coach Williams.
Getting a lot of subs in so they can continue to play all out on every possession.
They're really well-coached teams, aren't they? Where they show and recover. Nice double.
And Jones a little short.
Look at
Thurman got his own missed tip. And he batted it out of bounds. Good effort, but West Virginia comes up empty on the offensive glass. Under 8 minutes to go. Tie ball game. When we come back, a championship week update. ESPN3.com, which I am now addicted to. As you are addicted to Twitter, I am addicted to ESPN3.com.
It is a great service, and West Virginia sticking with this 1-3-1. West Virginia nowhere near as efficient offensively in the second half. They're only 4 of 16 from the field.
This lineup, too, I think if Marquette scores, they better get after. Only a point guard in Missoula. Everybody else a perimeter guy, not used to bouncing it for West Virginia.
You got to attack the baseline in this 1-3-1. Throw over the top if you can, but you're just going east-west isn't good enough.
They had a hard time getting it beyond the foul line extended. Johnson Odom missed a 3. Thurman the rebound.
Kid gives you everything.
Cam Thurman, 5th-year senior. As is Joe Missoula. Uses the screen from his fellow 5th-year senior. Flowers line drive 3. O'Toole's on the back of Thurman. And that's going to be the call. A foul on O'Toole, his 3rd. And that puts Marquette over the limit.
And that's amazing about Cam Thurman. He just didn't stay out there. Got himself in position to help out. A terrific opportunity here for him, just by virtue of understanding what to do after you've screened. And effort.
So now Thurman has already graduated from WVU with a degree in business management. He's working on a master's in business management. He was a John Beeline recruit. That's how long he's been around the program. And for a while, the role player and Bob Huggins told him, we need you to do more than that. And you're capable of more than that.
Now, you mentioned earlier he's looking for the shot every once in a while. Second with his staff over there, Billy Hahn, longtime assistant. Larry Harrison as well.
The assistant coaches in college basketball, really the unsung heroes who put in long hours, do a lot of hard work. Eric Martin also on that staff. Over West Virginia.
Yeah, just in the dribble.
They're not going to dribble their way through this.
They haven't figured out a way through it yet. Cadogan does. Penetrates and kicked it, but there was not an open 3. They settled for a tough 2, and it wouldn't fall for Bikes.
But a 1-3-1, been effective, as you noted, Jay.
Just take one hard dribble right at the middleman and freeze him, and then you can throw it along the baseline. I like throwing over the top of it. You know, when Syracuse has played against it, they've always thrown over the top and been really successful.
There's a little stack look. And then the post up.
Top shot wouldn't go for Kevin Jones. Cadogan looks to push. All the way to the goal and fouled by Missoula.
How many times in this second half have you said tough shot when West Virginia has pulled the trigger on one? You know, they've shot it really poorly in large measure because they've taken a lot of difficult challenge shots.
And right under him, and that leads to, you guessed it, a run out. Unbelievable. Puts the guy in, you're backpedaling.
You know, when you take good shots, you don't allow those runouts, and a bad shot allows Marquette to play ahead of West Virginia's defense. When West Virginia's played 5-on-5 in the half court, their defense has been pretty darn effective.
Missoula only 2, which is certainly helpful coming down the stretch for West Virginia. Got to make these.
Cadogan not a good free throw shooter, under 60% for the year. 59 and change. Been pretty good tonight, 4 out of 5. 6 minutes to go, tied up again.
Going to run their motion. The whirling hand on the sideline. Pepper, good cut.
didn't he?
It looked good. I didn't know if he raised his heel.
Might have kept his toes on the floor, but
It's a nice back cut. They play that 5-out motion, open post.
But, you know, people hear us say some compliments about coaches. That's a case in point. Great wrinkle. All of a sudden, they open the middle. Everybody's spread. You get a nice cut to the rim. You get a chance for two. The other end, switch to the 1-3-1. Throw them out of focus a little bit.
It's just a simple cut to the free throw line. Then you're going to pop out most of the time. And when the defense goes with you, you just back cut. And Pepper was wide open.
Missed the first of 2 free throws. Made the second. He doesn't get to the line much. He's mostly on the perimeter. He's been a little more bold going near the basket tonight. He attempted only 18 free throws all year. Gardner goes out. He's having one of the best games of his season. A long time since Marquette had a point from a starter. More than 12 minutes.
Look at the size on the wings and up top. I mean, they are big and wide.
Pepper fell down. That left Bites open for an elbow jumper, and he missed it. Flowers inside. Tough shot short. Cadogan the rebound. And then Thurman fouled him. And that's 3 on Cam Thurman. Both teams are over the limit now.
No, Bill, I think West Virginia just looks big relative to Marquette, because Marquette's a pretty small team.
That could be.
You remember last year how much bigger and longer that 1-3-1 defense was when you had
Deshaun up top. Yeah.
Deshaun Butler, and you had Devin Ebanks out. He was the guy out top, 6'9", with a 7-foot wingspan. I mean, that was really difficult to pass side to side with Ebanks out top.
I would agree. Flowers and Jones aren't quite that big, but they're still bigger because of Marquette size.
Yeah, they're bigger than these guys.
10 points for Cadogan, now 11. That's a career high. He scored 10 earlier this year against Providence. Of course, everybody in the Big East has their career high against Providence. A team that has not defended well the last few years.
Where you're not even sacred when you're not playing.
And he tells us we're critical.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't critical. It was a statement of fact. Of course, there are increasing reports now. The Providence Journal reporting today, Kevin McNamara, outstanding reporter, that quite likely Keno Davis will be dismissed as coach of the Friars by the end of the year.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It is. He's a good man.
A good man. And just 3 short years ago, coach of the year nationally at break.
What a bad play. Missoula actually fouled.
Better off it wasn't called.
Johnson Odom wide open for 3.
Wow. Misuse. Bob Huggins wants a timeout.
More than 13 minutes without a point from a starter. But when the starters got back involved, it was a big one. A bomb by DJO.
How about that pass by Flowers to the deny hand? And this is, you're right, may have been a break, but the 3 ensues. Wow.
All right, Reese, we know you'll keep us posted there. Bob Huggins agitated again as Marquette has taken a 3-point lead. He has mellowed.
Oh, really? News to those kids. I think he's really upset over that turnover by Flowers. Let's see where they're going to get the offense right now.
And West Virginia, after a great first half shooting the balls, missed their last 9 field goal attempts over a 6.5-minute span. They were in the high 50s for much of the game. They're down to 42% shooting overall for the game now.
No, goodness, another turnover by Flowers.
Right after a timeout as well. They've been so good after timeouts in the first half, and come out of a timeout and cough it up.
A lot of people wonder where Jones hasn't done much. Butler's been on him at the other end. Terrific defensive player.
Their offense in the second half, they settle for a lot of challenge shots, and that's not what this team does well.
Another 3 for Darius Johnson-Odom.
Nice ball movement. Jay Crowder with a great feel, facing out, knew where his partner was located.
And that time they attacked the baseline.
We've had a very quiet night, but all of a sudden 6 quick points to give him 10 for the ball game. And this matches the largest lead of the night for Marquette. Mazzulla, tough inside. Thurman.
Marquette can basically switch every position on the floor because Crowder and Butler can both guard.
Plus no size.
Interesting for West Virginia with them struggling. 2 of their top scorers, Mitchell their leading scorer, and Dale Bryant not on the court. Cadogan blocked by Flowers. Big East's leading shot blocker.
Big possession right here for West Virginia.
And a good timeout trying to get 2 guys in, Mitchell and Bryant. Little fatigue factor. Mazzulla, I think, for one, a little winded as he went to that timeout.
Just 1 timeout left for West Virginia, 4 for Marquette. Let's go back and take a look at tonight's Reese's perfect play.
Well, we talked about the ball movement against this 1-3-1. On one side of the floor, then it is reversed and along the baseline, get into the middle, then kick it to the baseline, and a wide open 3 for Darius Johnson-Odom.
You got to be patient against that 1-3-1. I mean, you just can't rush it, jam it in there. Got to give guys an opportunity to reverse it. And sometimes that diagonal baseline works as well.
I like this lineup defensively for Marquette because they can switch everything. There's not a guy on the floor that cannot guard out on the perimeter.
Marquette, the number 11 seed, taking on the 6th seed West Virginia.
Bob Huggins going real small now for the same reason, Jay.
Well, this isn't a game that Dennis Kalichla can play a lot of minutes because of liability to be on the defensive end. You'd like to have somebody to be able to lock down in the post.
Look at this, right to the low post, trying to get Jones. Tough shot.
Wow, what a tough shot with Crowder right there.
They should be patient now unless it shows.
Johnson-Odom, the strong drive. It got tipped back to him by Crowder. They have a full shot clock. His teammates are telling Butler to take it out. He attacked the basket and missed. 2:20 to go in a 6-point lead. They can afford to be a little bit patient here. And Buzz Williams holding up 2 fingers. Pat Driscoll almost made an appearance on the telecast for the officials. Offensive foul.
One of those, where are you going? Don't get too deep. If they're going to win, it's going to be on the defensive end. They have been solid on the other end for Buzz.
3 fouls on Johnson-Odom. 2:04 to go. West Virginia down 6. Thank you, John. Welcome back, everybody, to Championship Week presented by Dick's Sporting Goods in the Big East Tournament. Is brought to you by American Eagle Outfitters. We are tied at 55. Darius Johnson-Odom had a very quiet night for Marquette, but he's hit a couple of threes to stake them to a 6-point lead.
And a really nice pass by Junior Cadogan. Another nice pass by Jake Crowder. Cadogan's had a terrific game. 11 points, 5 assists, just 1 turnover.
Great effort. And now it's all, how are you going to tee it up if you're Marquette defensively? They have forced 2 big turnovers by West Virginia.
I think you just stay solid here. Try to make West Virginia take another tough shot over you and make sure you rebound it. It's not so much about a turnover right here as it is about keeping West Virginia from getting something easy.
I think they got to get Jones something. Got a couple of inches, maybe a post up on Butler.
We saw last year when West Virginia won the Big East Championship. All 3 of their wins were wire jobs decided at the buzzer. Mazzulla stripped, and the Mountaineers will keep it with 18 seconds to shoot.
Casey Mitchell's going to have to move more. If he's going to get open against Darius Johnson-Odom, he's not going to get open spotting up.
Mazzulla, Flowers snuck in, uncontested.
And Jay Crowder doesn't make many mistakes. He never got in the proper position to get vision and deny. Straight up man.
That was the first field goal in 9 minutes and 20 seconds for West Virginia. Gets them back within 4. 1 minute and a half to go.
West Virginia trying to deny.
And a quick timeout by Buzz. This is such a great dribble drive team. Creative, finish, or find.
30-second timeout for the Golden Eagles.
Not good vision here, Jay, huh?
Yeah, not a good job on the ball either. Cadogan was almost trying to keep the ball from coming to the short side of the floor. That's where you want it to go. You got to protect middle, protect that rim.
And when this one is over, we'll be down to 8 remaining hopefuls for the Big East Championship in 2011. Coverage all day tomorrow on ESPN. Starting at noon with Pitt and UConn. Syracuse, St. John's, the other afternoon game. Notre Dame and Cincinnati with us tomorrow night. And then Louisville gets the winner of this one. Of course, Louisville and West Virginia just had a ridiculously wild game Saturday in West Virginia that the Mountaineers pulled out in the final seconds. They had 2 crazy games during the regular season. Marquette hoping to prevent a third matchup between the Mountaineers and Cardinals. Sports Center next here on ESPN, a minute and 20 seconds away. Barring, of course, the prospect of overtime, and we know that can happen and then some at the Big East Championship.
Defenses are so much better now at contesting out-of-bounds plays.
Boy, Cadogan, wow, what a night he's had.
And that was a great effort defensively, but superior offensive attack off the dribble.
Casey Mitchell, he was the hero against Louisville Saturday with a late 3. Flowers there to follow. 4-point game under a minute to go.
That was just being strong with the ball.
I think they were going to give one there on Cadogan. 2 hands on him by Missoula.
He'd be the guy to foul. He's not a very good free throw shooter. Johnson Odom fouled. He's a 71% free throw shooter. He'll go to the line for a pair with 43 seconds to go.
Aggressive D at the other end, just letting the body slip by. Very smart maneuver.
Just a good job of bumping Jay Crowder underneath, and Junior Cadogan has been terrific all game long. That is a strong move.
We're going to upgrade him to Senior Cadogan tonight. Darius Johnson Odom. Big free throw for the junior from Raleigh, North Carolina, who was a junior college All-American at Hutchinson in Kansas.
Still plenty of time to get the ball all the way to the rim. You don't need to settle for a 3.
Getting to the rim may open up a 3.
Bryant, a lot of dribbling.
And nice double.
Double teamed and a foul called. Last thing that Buzz Williams wanted, to stop the clock.
That's what we were talking about before, the idea of forcing a turnover. You just want to stay solid there. Jay Crowder did a nice job of hedging, recover. Guy's 40 feet from the basket, 45 feet, going the opposite direction. Yeah, this just wasn't a good foul by Bikes there. That's an unnecessary reach.
Yeah, Crowder fouled him too, but they gave it to Bikes. His first. It's the 10th team foul, so West Virginia will shoot 2 the rest of the way. Darryl Bryant at the line, 82% for the year.
Now, West Virginia's not a team that really loves to extend the floor.
Boy, you got the time. If this goes in, you got the time to extend.
Sure, you do.
You give Marquette an opportunity, if you make this, an opportunity to turn it over before you foul.
Face guard. Protection deep.
1 possession game.
Wow.
Trouble on the inbound. Stolen by Bryant. He missed it.
Nobody back.
And the foul committed. Cadogan will go to the line. You're right. They had Jay Crowder all alone, ready to basket hang and score. Bob Huggins trying to figure out what happened. They stole the inbounds pass and looked like they were in great position to score, but the shot was not made.
He thought his guy got fouled. That's what he's complaining about here. I didn't see any. Did you?
Nope.
No, good clean play. And in essence, a foul that was a wise one.
3rd foul on Jones. So now Cadogan 5 out of 7 from the free throw line.
He's been the difference. He has been the difference.
Playing with such confidence, too. Attacking at will.
Career high for Cadogan. 15 points, 13 of them in the second half. 5-point lead for Marquette.
Well, nice hands. You don't need it. Bring it back out. He doesn't have to be told.
And West Virginia in the final seconds unable to recapture the magic that carried them to the Big East Championship last year, where they won 3 straight games and all went down to the wire. They could not make the plays down the stretch here tonight.
Well, this is a game in which West Virginia's offense has let them down, but you got to give all the credit to Marquette. That lineup can switch everything. It's very aggressive, and Junior Cadogan all game long has been the man of the match.
And Jay, how often though did they bring other people into the ball handler? There's just so many mistakes that you're unaccustomed to seeing.
Butler missed the first. Both teams are in the double bonus. 15 seconds to go. 6-point lead. Need to shoot a 3 rather.
Whatever you can get. I think the 3, but at this point,
sent a flyer up there, and it'll be Marquette ball.
Ideally the 3, but this team is again so tough and tenacious defensively.
I think anybody's worried about 11 teams now, but now Villanova's the one that everybody's worried about.
Book 10 for sure. Villanova's the team. And now the only one among those 11 in the Big East in doubt. Buzz Williams came here thinking they might have to do a little bit of work. They defeated Providence and West Virginia consecutive nights. They will not be a repeat Big East tournament champion, as the Mountaineers are one and done on this trip to New York. So they'll be on their way without question to the NCAA tournament.
Love the high level of competition, though. That was fun.
Cadogan led the way with 15. Gardner had 10. Some surprising stars tonight for Marquette, showing the depth and talent of this team. The quarterfinal matchups set at noon. Pitt, Connecticut at 2. Syracuse, St. John's at 7. Notre Dame and Cincinnati. And the nightcap at approximately 9 tomorrow night. Louisville and Marquette. All of it on ESPN. Should be a great day of action at the Big East Championship, as the top 4 seeds swing into action for the first time. Here's Beth Mowins.
Thank you very much, Buzz. At one stretch in the second half, 24 consecutive points off your bench. What was your directive for those guys whenever they went into the second half?
I thought we started the second half bad. I didn't think we had any energy. I thought our defensive effort was poor. Sub 5 guys in, just see if it could help us, and then kind of played that away the rest of the game. Thought those last 5 really did a great job against their 1-3-1. Happy.
Talk about the defensive effort in the second half. How would you describe the way you turned things around after they shot better than 50% in the first?
You know, I didn't think we were terrible in the first half. They scored 21 points from the 3-point line. It's hard to do anything with that. And I thought in the second half, other than the first 2 or 3 minutes, when I subbed all those 5 guys in, I thought from that point forward, I thought our guys did really well. The bench teaches a lot better than I do. I've learned that. So we're thankful for how our guys did.
Well, Buzz, the guys were using the word moxie to describe your point guard here, Junior Cadogan, in that second half. Junior, what was the difference in your mindset in the second half, down 10?
To tell you the truth, I just didn't want to go home. And I tried to fight till I couldn't fight no more.
It looked like initially you were having a little trouble against the 1-3-1. What kinds of adjustments did you have to make to solve that?
Well, we weren't spaced out. You know, we need to get spaced out and get the ball to the middle, and that's all we have to do to break it.
All right, well, congratulations on a big win. Best of luck tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Sean?
Yeah, perhaps, Beth, the best game of his career for Junior Cadogan, the sophomore guard from Toronto, Ontario. And that defense really picked it up in the second half. West Virginia shot 58% in the first half. They shot 22% in the second half with only 1 field goal over the last 9:20. At one point, the Mountaineers missed 12 straight field goal attempts. Sports Center's next. Marquette a winner 67-61. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Jay Billis, Bill Raftery, Beth Mowins, and our outstanding crew, Sean McDonough saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow night from New York.